Hi, my name is Stacie Lee. I am the president of the Pennsylvania Organization of Blind Parents.
Hi, I'm Eddie Salcido. I am a musician in California and a member of the National Federation of the Blind.
And I'm John Dowling. I'm also a musician from Minnesota.
And you're listening to White Canes Connect.
Hey there, PA Federationists. Welcome to another episode of White Canes Connect, presented by the National Federation of the Blind of Pennsylvania. My name is David Goldstein. I am the first vice president of the affiliate. Joining me today is Stacie Leap. She is the president of the Pennsylvania Organization of Blind Parents. Stacie, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's 5 years. You know 5 years of what?
I'm guessing the piano bar.
Yeah,
5 years at the
5 years
bar.
at the bar. You ready?
I am ready. And why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Also, the piano bar is a joint fundraising effort between the Parents of Blind Children Division as well as the Blind Parents Division here in Pennsylvania. 50% of the proceeds will go to each of the divisions to help with our programming, our advocacy work, and just overall helping our blind families throughout Pennsylvania. We have 4 amazing performers coming on to do it. We have Angelina and Goldstein from Pennsylvania. You guys know her as, the amazing singer that we've been with ever since she was a teenager. We've had Eddie Salcido from California, John Dowling from Minnesota, as well as Carl Smith from Utah. And the 4 performers is going to take the virtual stage and perform their pianos and their guitars and their saxophones as well as their singing voices to raise efforts and fundraise for an amazing cause for our blind families.
It really is. And I love the branding blind families because of the combination of the 2 organizations. And I think that's important. So folks who want to help out can go to nfbofpa.org/piano bar, all one word. You can fill out the form. You get taken to the PayPal page to pay, or you can pay via Zelle. Either way, it's $10 to get in. And they would really appreciate your support on the 12th of April. So that's this Saturday, the 12th of April at 7 p.m. Eastern. And again, you don't have to be in Pennsylvania to join in and watch and listen to all the great music. Anywhere in the world, you can join in and be part of this. And it's always a lot of fun, Stacie.
Absolutely.
Let's get to the interview. Stacie, Eddie, and John, thanks for joining me today.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Stacie, let's start off with you. It is a fundraiser we're talking about, and you can't have a fundraiser without fun being involved, and this one is a lot of fun because it involves music. Why don't you tell us about the piano bar?
Oh, it is such an amazing thing. This is our 5th year. So we started during the pandemic days. Emily Gindelsberger started it as a fundraiser for the Parents of Blind Children Division. She invited her daughter Angelina and a few other performers in that first year. And from there, it's just been growing. I've been hosting all 5 years. And we've been able to add, the 2 people that we have on now, Eddie and John, into the mix. And it's just an amazing experience. Everyone just gets to listen, sit back and relax and listen to the music being played and just have a bunch of fellowship and fun.
It really is a lot of fun. And hearing the music, both original songs that folks do as well as covers. And I think that makes it a very interesting point. Now, it's a round robin sort of way that you do the songs. Everybody goes each round, somebody different starts. Tell us how that works.
Yep. So we always have 4 performers. So each of the 4 performers, they will start off one of the rounds. We typically do it in alphabetical order by first name. So this year we have Angelina and Goldstein coming for our first round. She's starting off the first round. And then Eddie is going to start off the second round. John is going to start off our 3rd round, and then you have Carl Smith, who is going to start off our last and final round. But then in between those rounds, each of them take their turn and just play whatever music that they deem to be the best for that round, whether it's their own original works or a cover song.
John and Eddie, you guys have been on this before. I believe you were both on Believe You Can before. Eddie, let's start with you, just going alphabetically again. How many songs of the 4 are you going to play that are your own?
The songs that I'm going to play, out of the 4, there's going to be 1 that's an original. and I can always change that up a bit if need be. But right now it's going to be one song out of the four, and the others are going to be a Spanish song and a couple of rock and Elvis and Brooks and Dunn tunes. So I think we're going to be in for a fun show.
When everything was coming together for this, Stacie had asked for some images of everyone, and you sent 3 images playing 3 different instruments.
I did.
Have you ever done where you've played each bit for a song? For example, the images were a keyboard, a sax, and I forget what the last one was.
The guitar.
The guitar. Have you ever do you do that? Do you play songs like that where you will lay down, let's say, a sax track and then lay down a guitar track and keyboard and vocal track?
Well, I mean, you can do that. You can record that way. That's how we do recording, though. Like when I go down to get my albums recorded, it's just me and my audio engineer / tracking friend, and we make up the whole band pretty much. So yeah, when you need to do it cheap. That's the way you do it.
And how many albums do you have out?
I have 2 albums. I have 2 albums and 3 singles, and I'm working on my 3rd album now. That's about ready to pop, maybe in a few months. I've been threatening that now for a while, but
Okay. And available on Spotify,
Of
Amazon
course.
Music, places
Of
like that?
course.
Okay. John, so you've been involved for a while.
Yeah.
How about you? Are you playing any original songs?
Not this time around. And the funny thing is, I actually do have a bunch of original songs written down, but I am not playing them for the piano bar because I'm saving them because I am actually in the process of making my first album. I'm actually going to be making 2 records in the span of about 3 months. The one record is pretty much all original tunes, and the second record is going to be all cover songs. Yeah, it's going to be really sweet. I'm really excited for that.
And what songs will you be doing for the piano bar?
It's going to be all country related. I don't have the list in front of me right now, but let's see if I can remember. There's going to be I think there's a Merle Haggard song in there. I think there's a Hank Williams. Maybe I think Willie Nelson was in there too, and I think a George Strait. I could be way off. So, please stay tuned for the fundraiser, and you will
Right, you'll
know.
have to tune into.
Yeah.
You have
Right.
to tune in.
maybe
to
you should
see.
just decide.
So if you're a country fan,
Yeah.
That's what I really appreciate about the piano bar. Like all 4 performers throughout the 5 years, honestly, it helped build up my musical selection. There's been pop songs, rock songs, country songs, classical, ballads. There's so many different genres that we listen to. It just makes it so amazing. And it's just been
Right.
building up for the past 5 years. I remember when we first started off, it was with just the students. It was like a East versus West Pennsylvania, where it was just Angelina and Simon. And then we migrated from that to East and West Coast. That's when we were able to add we were able to add in Eddie and John and Simon back in with Angelina. And then from there, what did we do? Piano versus guitars. So we just
Yeah.
got away
Right.
from
Yeah,
piano
I
and
remember
added
that.
the guitars. And that's just been amazing. And then even this year, it's 5 years at the bar. That's the name of our piano bar fundraiser. And kind of like what Eddie's doing, he's adding the saxophone, and we're still having the piano, and we're still having the guitar, and everyone is singing. So much musical talent that I do not have. That's why I'm just going to be the MC for that.
Now, I also get that when all these blind folks can sing and play all this music and everything, and then I look and I have none of that talent. So you're in that same boat, Stacie?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And I just love that this year marks the very special year of it being 5 years. And we just have so much to offer. Like even this is the first time that we're adding another division to this joint fundraiser. Like I said earlier, it was just for the Parents of Blind Children division in Pennsylvania, but now we're adding on the Our Blind Parents division so we can benefit blind families as a whole, whether you're a parent of a blind child or you're a blind parent yourself. The proceeds raised here is going to help benefits whatever that we need, whether it's our advocacy work, the services that we provide, the different programmings that we offer. It's just going to be an all-around great show for such a great cause.
It's nice. I like the branding of blind families. And we'll talk about something else in a little bit because you guys have something else in the works. You're cooking up something else, I guess I could say. But we'll get to that in a few minutes. Eddie, have you played music your whole life?
Yeah, but I don't honestly remember a time where I didn't play music. So I have played music since I was 3. It's like breathing to me. I started on piano, And when I was about 12 and 13, I branched out into the sax and guitar and picked up the bass and just kind of went from there. I dabbled with a steel guitar a little bit. I'm not very proficient at that, but I love it. And I just, instruments have always been my person, my people. If you want to compare them to a family, that they are like my family.
What makes the steel guitar different from others?
The steel guitar is an instrument which it's got 10 strings, so it's like a harp, and it's got a special tuning, and it's horizontal, and you pretty much have to be a pilot to operate it because you're using both hands and both feet. A lot like a Hammond.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a lot like a Hammond organ. Like you're with the left hand, you're operating the tone bar and you're guiding your tone bar with your fingers, and then using that as a vibrato hand. And then your right hand is working the picks and muting the strings, and your left and right foot are working the volume pedal, the ABC pedals, which change the pitch of the strings, and the knee levers, which also change some strings, raise them and lower them. So it's a big deal.
It really sounds like it.
And it's fretless, which means it's similar to a violin or a cello. You have no frets, so you have to know where your hand is. You have to develop that muscle memory.
John, how about you? How long have you been playing music?
Yeah, Eddie has me beat by 2 years. I started playing music when I was about 5 years old, and I also started on piano as well. And then I migrated to the ukulele at age 7 or 8, maybe it was. And then I started playing guitar a little bit. I really didn't pick up the guitar seriously until I was, oh God, like 17, 18. And let's see, I play harmonica as well, and banjo, mandolin. I've got a tin whistle here somewhere. And I also play the steel guitar, but I don't play an actual steel. I have a virtual instrument on my computer because I have the Native Instruments Complete Control keyboard,
Oh, wow.
and
Okay.
and that's really cool. I love that the keyboard. It's really accessible for blind folks.
And have you always been in the country genre?
Yep.
You mentioned software, so I'm assuming that what do you use when you record? Even if it's just something rough, do you use anything special, or is it off the shelf type of software?
It's off the shelf. I use a combination of Logic and Reaper. I use a lot of plugins because I'm a producer as well,
Okay.
and I'm working on learning how to master. But I use a lot of stuff from a company called Waves. I love their plugins. They're very accessible. And then I use a lot of Native Instruments software. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
I know Reaper is very big in our community as far as whether it's editing podcasts or music, and I'm told that you can even edit video there. But
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you use it for the music as well. Eddie, how about you with software?
I'm not as much of a big software guy. I used to use Cake Talking, and I loved that. There's a story behind that. I was the actual person who met with the guy who developed the Cake Talking scripts for Jaws and Cakewalk to interface them. Cakewalk became Sonar. So I've been a bit intimidated by that kind of tech. So I just right now I'm just playing music. I'm not recording with my own software. But I do have Reaper on my system, and since I've moved, I have to get all that stuff unpacked. So that's on hold for right now.
Gotcha. Okay. So you had mentioned Cake Talk. Cake Talk? It's
Cake
called?
Talking. Yes.
Cake Talking. Is Bill McCann, was he involved with that at all?
He's involved in distributing the software. I'm not sure that they still distribute it, but when it was going big, he was the distributor of Cake Talking software and Sonar and all that.
Yeah, I've heard of that. That was a little bit before my time though, so I've never really messed around with it.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool piece of software, and it's it's sad that it's not supported anymore.
That seems to be the thing. The other issue, of course, when you're dealing with any kind of software, when it's not made specifically for blind folks, is when they update it, whether it's a minor or a major update, sometimes accessibility gets broken, and then you've got all those issues all over again after you thought you had it beat. So that is always something. Stacie, why don't we talk about another fundraiser coming up that hopefully we'll promote a little bit during the piano bar, and that is a cookbook. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so, we all like to eat. Whether we're family
Word.
members or whether, even like for me and my daughter, I have an 8-year-old daughter, and we connect a lot through our cooking and our eating and stuff, so we decided to combine forces again with the parents of blind children and the blind parents division to make a family cookbook. Hopefully that we can gather some recipes and be able to share it amongst everybody in order to raise the funds needed again to just increase our fundraising efforts. And we have 3 different versions. So there's going to be a Braille large print version, and I thought that was really cool, especially, if you have a sighted child or a blind child and you're yourself or sighted or blind, whatever way the sight and unsighted is, you can do the Braille and the large print so you guys can kind of collaborate together. There's going to be a digital version. So whether that's Word or PDF, we're still trying to figure that out and have that so that way it's always on hand. You don't have to worry about carrying a book around. And then one of our blind parents has volunteered to even make an audio version, an audiobook version of it. That way we can, listen to it and understand like how to say certain ingredients or how to listen to instructions. And that can really help the younger kids who still just trying to learn how to read and talk and everything.
And how are you going to sell that? Are you going to put it up on Amazon somewhere, or is it going to be something you just sell face to face to people?
So we're planning to sell the Braille and large print version at another fundraiser, the Spring Fling fundraiser that the Blind Merchants Division is doing in Harrisburg in May. And the digital and audio version, we're just going to just sell it online. So once we receive payment, we'll just be able to send it to you as a direct link to the files.
So that is coming, I'm guessing, because the cutoff just happened for the recipes. You're still putting everything together for that. Is that right?
Yep. So our plan is to have the digital version out by Easter because everyone wants to get together and have family get-togethers during Easter. And then we're hoping to do the Braille and large print one in honor of Mother's Day. So we're going to do that during the Spring Fling fundraiser with the Blind Merchants Division. And then we're hoping to do the audiobook version in honor of Father's Day for June. And that way it encompasses all the blind family dynamics, whether you're a blind parent or a blind child, whether you're a mother or a father, whether you're a grandmother or a grandfather, whatever it is, it fits all of the months.
It really does. And just so everyone knows, before we hit record, that's what we were talking about, food, before we even got started today. So that is something that yes, it definitely makes a connection with folks and is going to be exciting to get involved with. And I know my wife has submitted a couple of recipes, so a lot of great stuff going to be in there, I know. Eddie, as far as cooking, do you do much cooking?
It depends on the day. I like a lot of frozen foods, but I can cook. I know how to do it. My favorite is eggs.
Okay.
And I like to just kind of spritz a little salsa in there and sometimes some cheese. And when I went to the Colorado Center, I did learn how to do a lot of that, and it was so liberating. And I'm excited about this cookbook because I can just download it onto my Mantis Q40 and rock out, and hopefully get some really cool new ideas.
It always surprises me when I have a friend who can't cook anything. In fact, he was living in his apartment for a year or so, and he had cleaning people over, and they pulled all this cardboard out of the oven because it was brand new when he had moved in. And they said, "Boy, it's lucky you didn't turn the oven on." He said, "I don't know how to cook. Why would I turn the oven on?"
And I think that's really sad because it's really a lot of misconceptions are still promulgated around blind people and cooking, or blind people and hot fire. And, oh, you can't do this. I mean, I dealt with that growing up a lot. So a lot of blind people as a consequence sort of have a fear of the stovetop, but there are tricks you can do in order to figure that out. Like, centering a skillet. You center the skillet when the burner's off, and then you turn it on, and you're good to
Right.
go. And, people don't realize that you can do things like label your oven, which is what we did when we moved. Yes, there's a lot of touch screen stuff going on, and it's unfortunate, but if you really want to, you can get around it. You can adapt. I'm not saying that accessibility shouldn't be at the forefront of everything that companies do, but let's face it, it's not. So we have to be the ones to be the change that we want to see in the world.
And it's become a little bit easier
has.
because we just got a new toaster oven that is completely different from the one I was used to. And now with Be My Eyes, you take a picture.
Yeah, I was
and
going to
if it
mention
doesn't
that.
tell you right away what the dials are, you just ask questions, and it makes it so nice. And same thing with the touch screens. John, how about you? Do you do any cooking?
I don't cook because simply due to the fact that I am a very, 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 very picky eater. Like, it's very extreme. So a lot of the
Okay.
foods I eat are honestly like I can just microwave them. It's fine.
Okay.
My wife, on the other hand, she does do some cooking, and like our oven is labeled and that stuff. So it's cool.
Stuff in the kitchen, it's very important that one way or another you figure out what's going on. Like Eddie was
Yep.
saying earlier, with you don't want to touch something because you certainly can't center a pan or a pot once you've got boiling water or some sort of something cooking in it. So you've got to have that all set up. And we had Deborah Erickson on both an episode of this podcast, as well as she was at our convention in Erie talking about cooking. And I'll put a link to that episode in the notes. But she's got a lot of great ideas and talks about how blind folks can cook. And I don't do most of the cooking in my house, but I do cook lunch every day, which is always an omelet, Eddie. And it always has, lately I've been doing grape tomatoes sauteed before and then put them in the omelet. It's great. And I love doing that.
I'm coming to your house then.
Come on over.
Yeah, the great thing about cooking is you smell when things are done, and that was one of my kind of like what Eddie was saying, when I first went by, my biggest fear was cooking. Like, how do I know when things are done? How do I know if it's cooked all the way through? How do I know, if the top, sometimes you wanted a golden brown color. Like, how do you know those kind of things? But the more you actually practice cooking, you realize that, the mac and cheese smell, like once, it aromates throughout the whole room. Fried chicken goes throughout the whole room. When you don't smell the fried chicken smell, it's not done.
Right.
That's one thing I've not been brave enough to do is fried chicken. I tried it and the smoke detector went off.
Yeah, and it's all trial and error. There's so many things we do so much better than other types of cooking methods or other types of cooking food. But then there's so many different other devices. Like now there's the deep fryer, so you don't have to actually open flame onto with a skillet. You can actually use a deep fryer, or even a healthier version, you use an air fryer. So just even doing that, just smelling it and realizing that it's done based off your smell. I just love the smell of food, and I love that this cookbook is happening.
And another good idea too is you could just set a timer on your phone, and you're good to go. I do that all the time when I cook stuff in the oven. So that's always an option.
Right. The oven has or your A-Lady, or because that's one issue again with our oven. The timer is on a touch screen, so it's just easier to say it out loud what you want.
Same.
Yep.
So the phone is really handy in that regard.
And here is a proof that food is the number one thing people want to talk about, because we came on talking about piano bar and music, and now we're talking about food. Let's bring it back to the piano bar. Stacie, each performer is going to do 4 songs. So you told us they're each going to lead off a round. And is there a break in the middle?
There's an intermission. So that started off because during the pandemic, it was so hard to socialize. There was no contact with anybody. Everything was online, but then they just went to meetings and left. You go to meetings and you leave. You go to a group and you leave, so and you listen to something and you leave. So with the first piano bar, we decided to do at least a 15-minute intermission so they can talk, interact with each other, ask the performers questions if they have it, We just try to give such a open environment because, we try to make it kind of like a lounge area. You can sit and chill and just listen to the performers, ask questions as you need, and without having the need to like, oh, well, let me just, walk away and listen to it like it's a radio show. No, we want to make it as interactive as possible. And we even give them the opportunity at the end of each of the songs to come off of mute and just say their positivity, whether it's a really good song that they like to hear, whether it was a song that they never heard before, whatever. We always try to promote positivity because that's all it's all about.
I remember the first time I had been part of it. I remember talking to a few of the folks, both people who were performing as well as some folks who were watching. And I thought, this is very cool that you have this time in there. And of course, there's also the time if you have to run to the bathroom, you can do that as well. But it was just so neat to be able to talk to folks. And again, it's people from around the country. It's not just folks from Pennsylvania. So it doesn't matter where you're located. It doesn't matter. It might matter. It might matter if you're on the other side of the world and it's 3 a.m. That may matter to you.
Well, that did
But
matter because we had a few people that was from Europe
Yeah,
that
remember
came,
Jorgen Hansen? He was
right,
Yep.
right.
there a couple
2 in the
years
morning.
ago.
It was
he
2 in the morning in
came.
Sweden. Yeah.
He decided to be on a coffee rush just to listen to us. That was pretty
Great.
amazing. And like I said earlier, we started off just for Pennsylvania, and now even our performers all over the country. We have Angelina originally from Pennsylvania, Eddie from California, John from Minnesota, and Carl from Utah. And this year we have another co-host helping out with the emceeing, and Scopey, he's from North Carolina. So it just shows that we support each other throughout the country. And as this fundraiser benefits blind families are just not in Pennsylvania. They're all over.
Touch on Scopy. I don't know how that all came down with adding Scopy.
Oh, so we were at a blind parents division meeting. I can't give you what month it was, but we was at a blind parents division meeting and I was talking about the fundraiser and saying if anyone wants to help out, I'll be more than willing to add them into the mix. Scopy had connected with me offline saying he's willing to co-host if that's okay. We had talked to the group. The group really absolutely love it. The more the merrier. Because it's all about, friendship and fellowship.
And he has a great voice too.
He
He has one of those
certainly
voices
does.
that,
Yep.
yeah, it's a nice, soothing voice that makes you feel welcome. And so it's a good addition there. We were talking about music and performing. Let's start with you, Eddie. Have you, as far as playing live, have you played a lot of live shows? How's that all worked out?
Oh, yeah. I've been in several bands, and more recently, I've been doing my own piano act. I like doing my own piano act because, number one, I'm going to be brutally honest, I make more money. I get to keep it all. And, musicians got to eat too. The collaborations with the bands are great. I love them, but they don't really do well for the pocketbook. But you do get the positivity of being with other people, cooperating with other people. And funny story about band cooperation. I remember we were doing a song At Last by Etta James, and the band was playing the completely wrong chords. And I said, this is a lesson that I try to impart to people. And I said, I think we can do this a better way. And the guy says, well, we've done it this way all the time. It's fine. I said, well, okay, but let's try it my way. Let's try it this way. And if you don't like it, we can do it the other way. We'll take a vote. So I told them the chords for the song and they did it. And the singer says, wow, now it sounds right. It hasn't sounded right for so long. And now it sounds right. So we ended up doing it the way I wanted and the way the song was correct. And it's just a lesson in collaboration. But for me, I like there's disadvantages and disadvantages to playing with bands and doing it on your own. So, but I lean toward doing it on my own because I love making money and I love the tips and I love the connection I get with the audience when they request a song. I don't have to babysit the band. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm my own person and I can do things my own way, which is great.
John, how about you? Live shows?
Yeah, I do. I haven't done a live show in a couple months. It's been a while. But in fact, the last live show I did was actually back in June of last year. And I actually played with a band. It was a pretty small band. It was just two guys. I was me on guitar, a drummer, and then a bass player. And it was cool, man. We only rehearsed about 2 or 3 times, and they knew it, man. So what we did was they had me send them a list of the songs, and they'd asked me, what key I preferred them in, and I gave them on the info. And our first rehearsal day, dude, it was like we had performed like for years. Like it was that tight, man. It was awesome. And what was also really cool about the guys is I tried to give them, like after, the show was over and we got our tips and stuff. I tried to give them, half of the money, and they were just like, you know what, dude, just keep everything. It's fine. So that was really nice of them to do that. But
Now, did those two guys know each other?
yeah,
Did they know
yeah,
each other?
they
Okay.
performed in other places before, I think. And I met them from a Facebook group, like a local group here in Minnesota, and they were really really cool cats. And but I'm like Eddie, I prefer to do it solo because I also like the extra tips. But I would like to create a band. I really, one of my favorite artists is Hank Williams, and I really want to make a Hank Williams tribute band because I know that, tribute bands are kind of the rage right now, and I feel like that's not really, there really aren't a lot of Hank tribute bands around, and I kind of want to start that. I don't know anyone who plays because I want to make it authentic, right? So I don't want a pedal steel player. I would like a lap steel player because that's what they played back in the 40s and 50s.
Okay.
So I want it to be authentic. So like no drums. The bass has to be an upright bass, no electric bass at all. There's got to be a fiddle. And it's really hard to find that kind, because it's very niche, right? Like there's not really a lot of people who play, upright, because upright basses they're very big, right? They're it's hard. I'm still working on that, but as of right now, I'm just doing it solo.
And Stacie, I know you don't perform anywhere live other than your blind parents meetings and several other NFB meetings.
I perform in the middle of my living room with my little girl singing off-key Disney songs. That's what I do.
Maybe
Maybe we should get a sample during piano bar, during the intermission.
Oh, if you want people's eardrums to break, I'm sure.
What?
Before we go, I'll ask Stacie first. Stacie, what's your favorite piano bar?
My favorite piano bar, I believe, was the third year. It was the piano versus guitar. And that reasoning was I got to hear Eddie sing Hawaiian. And I didn't think that was possible. Like, I didn't know that other people spoke so many different languages. And he just came out and was like, I've been practicing to this song. I just really like the way that it sounds. And I'm just going to sing it for you guys. And I was just in amazement that he was able to just pick up a foreign language just through song and be able to play it with a musical instrument and did it such beautifully.
Eddie, how about you? Do you have a favorite?
So I think that was one of my favorite moments too. I love singing in other languages. I'm going to be singing in Spanish this time. I don't know Hawaiian. I just, like she said, I picked it up. I just listened to the song again and again and again. I think one of my favorite piano bars was, what was it, last year, where we couldn't figure out what was wrong because nobody could hear my piano or singing. So I broke out the saxophone and played all my music on the saxophone. And that was it was kind of cool because I was like flying by the seat of my pants at that point. It's like, okay, what do we do? Let's adapt. And I was talking about adapting earlier for food. And you got to adapt for this too when the show doesn't go quite the way you thought it would.
John, how about you?
Man, let's see. What was I also liked last year's. I think I had a pretty good selection. I don't remember all the songs that I listed from last year, but I really enjoyed that. That was cool.
Really looking forward to Piano Bar 2025. 5 years at the bar. 5 years at the bar, is that right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's amazing.
5 years at the bar. Yeah, it's been a great
gone
fundraiser.
so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that if you think back 5 years ago, where we were at this time, where nobody was going anywhere and people were cooped up. And I've got to be honest with you, I was cooped up most days before that anyway. So it's everybody was jumping into that boat with me at that point. But 5 years at the bar, to get tickets, It's $10 to join in. It's nfbofpa.org/piano bar, and that will take you to a little bit of a registration page. Once you do that, you can click to pay. And if you would, when you do pay, we really would appreciate if you check that box to cover the PayPal fees. And you can also pay, there's another way you can pay besides PayPal. But if you use PayPal, please check that box so you cover the fees for $10. I believe it's 70 cents. And then both organizations will split that 10 and get a whole $5 each for every entrance fee. Again, nfbfpa.org/piano bar. John and Eddie, thank you so much for joining me today, and I can't wait to see what happens on the 12th of April.
You're so welcome.
Yeah, well, hey man, thank you for having us, and it's gonna be awesome.
Thanks again to John and Eddie for coming on and telling about their part of 5 years at the bar, the Piano Bar fundraiser coming up the 12th of April. And Stacie, it's going to be a lot of fun. What's your favorite part of doing the Piano Bar?
It's just being able to interact. My crazy, silly, not so funny jokes is my favorite. Some people say it's a cringe factor, but I love it. I love it. So, so we do.
I do as well, but I'm a dad,
yeah,
so
we do have a new MC with us, co-hosting it, Scopy. So hopefully Scopy can handle the cringe factor that I'm going to do with the jokes. So.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he handles that. Anybody who is in the affiliate knows of your jokes from the various talent shows and things like that. So I'm looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun. Again, the 12th of April, 7 p.m. Eastern via Zoom. Once you register and make your donation, you'll get the link to the event. And I'm guessing, Stacie, you're sending that stuff out.
Yes, I am. Yep. So once we receive the payment, I'll send out the Zoom link with all the details and as well as the performers' names and everything.
And once again, you had mentioned during the interview talking about the Blind Families Cookbook. You want to give another quick update on that or recap of that?
Oh, yes. Just make sure you guys stay tuned to the Blind Families Cookbook. So it's going to be coming out in April, May, and June. We do have a Braille and large print version coming out, and that's going to be in May. Our digital version is going to come out in April, and our audiobook version is going to come out in June. All commemorating our blind families, whether it's in honor of Mother's Day or Father's Day. We hope that you're able to support and be able to share the wonderful recipes with your family members as well as your friends.
And that is something that I will bring up as it comes time to order your version, whichever version you want of those cookbooks. If you haven't noticed, we have started something called Federation Focus, which comes out every Monday on YouTube, on the NFBFPA YouTube channel, which is simply at NFBFPA, easy enough to remember. And we go over the meetings for the week, as well as fundraisers and things like that going on. So make sure you go over to youtube.com/NFB of PA, subscribe there. You'll get a notification when another episode drops. And again, they drop on Mondays. And we talk about fundraisers and meetings. So when Stacie gives me the information that the books are ready in whichever form you want it in, I will let you know on that. And Stacie, I really appreciate you co-hosting. And if folks want to get in touch with us, you can tell them where they can email us.
They can email us at whitekingsconnect@gmail.com. Make sure that you send only positive stuff, no negativity allowed.
If you'd really like to, we can also take a voicemail, which we would appreciate if you would allow us to play it on an upcoming episode. 267-338-4495, whether you have a question or comment about the Piano Bar or after the Piano Bar. If you want to leave a little review, you've got up to 3 minutes. Please leave your name and town if you do leave a voicemail, and we will use it on an upcoming episode. Again, 267-338-4495. Stacie, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for always having me.
Thanks for listening. Take care.
Bye.